Hey, hi, hello there, and welcome to Formula Amateur, where we are talking about Drivers' Championships and Constructors' Championships. Why are there two? Is there a secret one as well that is an unofficial one? Yes, but let's get to it. Let's go. So, Drivers' Championships. There are two official ones, which is the drivers and constructors. So, let's start with the drivers. What goes on in there? This one is more important to an individual driver than it is to a team, and this looks at how many points each driver gets throughout the whole season until it becomes impossible for anyone to beat the leader. Now, we all know who won it. They got their trophy, and it's all over and done with. Time for next year. They look at how many points they gained throughout the whole year. For the past 4 years, it has been the same driver, Max Verstappen, who has won it. In 2023, there was literally no competition for him. He won almost every single race. In 2024, that became a bit more exciting when he stopped winning as much. He won only 9 of the 24 races rather than 19 of the 24. So the Drivers' Championship, the award is for when you get a first place in a race, you get 25 points. For second place, you get 18 points. For third, you get 15. Fourth, you get 12. And then from 5th down to 10th, it goes down in increments of 2. So 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, and the 10th place gets you 1 point. And this accumulates later on. The winner is the person with the most points when it becomes mathematically impossible to beat them. So with the more points you get and the higher you score, some may see this as a consequence, but to teams this doesn't matter. But the more you score, the more your team pays to renew your super license for the next year. But the cost of your super license depends on your points, your experience, the number of crashes you have, and just generally how much you are seen as a liability. So if you drove for Williams in 2024, you might cost your team a little bit more just because of how many crashes you had in comparison to how many crashes Max Verstappen had, which was, well, technically none. So this all depends on a number of factors, but mainly on the amount of points. So Max Verstappen's super license is the most expensive because he is the reigning champion, and as the leaderboard goes down, the cheaper it gets. But also there are certain drivers who score high but don't pay a lot for their super license, like Fernando Alonso, because of how long he's been in the sport. He's been in the sport since 2001, so I guess he gets discounts, loyalty discounts, and when you can do that, why not get discounts? There are currently 3 world champions on the grid. So the current one, which is Max Verstappen, he has been the winner since 2021 up to 2024. We'll see how he gets on in 2025 now that Adrian Newey, the person behind the winning cars for Red Bull, has left to go to Aston Martin to try and help them out. We'll see how Red Bull gets on without him. So the other drivers, the other 2 are Lewis Hamilton, who's a 7-time world champion. He just moved to Ferrari, his dream team, after spending 13 years in Mercedes. Before that, he was in McLaren when he first started driving in Formula 1. And the other one, as I mentioned previously, is Fernando Alonso, who had won his world championships consecutively in 2005 and 2006. And with regulations changing in 2026, we'll see if that would spring out a new world champion, or will it be same as it's been for the past 2 decades, where the same person has won it. Well, there have been a couple of winners, but the current drivers, there have only been 3 world champions. Since 2000, the other winners have been Michael Schumacher, Jenson Button, Kimi Raikkonen, Sebastian Vettel, and Nico Rosberg, all who have left the sport for various reasons and now do other things with their lives, whatever they may be. Kimi Raikkonen is training his son to be a driver, whether it's his goal to be a Formula 1 driver or not. That's all to see, he's only 10. And Nico Rosberg occasionally presents Formula 1 TV, where he gets to be sassy and lovable, and we just love to see him there, and we hope to see him even more in the future. So now, World Constructors' Championship, what is that? Well, that is how many points the team accumulates altogether. So for each team there are 2 drivers. So last year McLaren won the Constructors because of the fact that Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris managed to get more points together than Ferrari's Sainz and Leclerc, but the winner was still Max Verstappen because of his individual points, whereas his teammate then was Sergio Perez, who was struggling throughout the entire year. He just did not get on with the car, and we will not see him on the track this year, as he had to part ways with Red Bull and he didn't get a seat for any other car, as it was too late by the time that he had cut his contract short. So when someone wins Constructors, so when a team wins the Constructors title, this means they get more money than any other team to invest back into their projects, their future projects, their ability to provide upgrades, to give bonuses, to do whatever they need to do with the money. They get 140 million euros to spend. I'm sure there's a lot of bureaucracy to do with it. I'm not too sure what they can do with the money, but along that, every team has sponsors, every team has the ability to invest, to work on whatever their projects may be, and the ultimate goal is to have the best car on the grid and to win again and to keep that chain going. But the higher the team is in the leadership title for Constructors, the less time they get in the wind tunnel. So it's seen as the team who has the least amount of points, they need to look into their wind tunnel time, which is where they get to practice and test how aerodynamic their car is, to see how it does by simulating real life conditions in a simulator, where they can have the ability to see where they went wrong and how they can improve. Whereas the higher you go in the points, the less time you get in the wind tunnel, because it's seen as, you know what you're doing, you're aerodynamic enough, use what you've learned from last year and just get better, but you don't need as much time as those who are not doing as well as you are. So Stake F1 Kick Sauber is getting the most time in the wind tunnel because they managed to have 4 points for the entire 24 races, whereas McLaren gets the least amount of time because they had over 500 points. True, the battle for Constructors went down to the wire to Abu Dhabi, which was the last race of the year, but McLaren were the overall champions, so they get the least wind tunnel time. And as I mentioned previously, so Constructors and Drivers' Championships are 2 separate championships, but they can be interlinked. So for example, in 2023, when Max Verstappen won the Drivers' Championship. Red Bull also won the championship because of Sergio Perez being second in the Drivers' Championship. So as long as the two drivers are relatively close in the Drivers' Championship, the chances of their constructors' title being earned is higher, because it's the accumulation of both drivers, and that's what gives the team the points that they need to win constructors. And constructors is for the entire team rather than just the drivers. It's a goal they strive for together, whereas drivers is more for the individual, which can maybe seem as selfish, but these are professional athletes who have wanted to do this all their lives. This is what they've worked for, this is what they wanted to do, and having this title is sort of, could be a way of them proving themselves to themselves, like, look, Mum, I did it, I can do it, I've got the title, I am the world's best. So when Red Bull won in 2023, because of the fact that Max Verstappen was first and Sergio Perez was second in the overall lineup, they managed to win that. Whereas this year, in the previous season, in 2024, although Max Verstappen was still the champion, Lando Norris was closer to Oscar Piastri, and so was Leclerc to Carlos Sainz. Lando Norris was second in drivers, Leclerc was third, and then it was Carlos Sainz and Oscar Piastri being fifth and fourth. So whereas Sergio was eighth, so he fell down 6 positions in the space of a year. So Red Bull did not have any chance of remaining champions in the previous season. So as a result, they had no choice, but if they were to win this prestigious title of constructors, they had to let go of Sergio Perez and find someone who can handle the car more. And this year we'll see Liam Lawson do that and see whether he can bring the title back to Red Bull and Milton Keynes, or will it stay at Woking? Will it go to Maranello? These are where the headquarters of the top 3 teams are. Most teams are based in the UK, with the exception of Ferrari and Haas. They are based in Italy. Some teams split their time between other countries, but the majority is in the homeland of Formula One, which is the UK. Now let's discuss this secret championship. It's not a championship anyone wants to win. It's not an official championship, but it's something that the fans have invented, and that's the Destructors Championship. The Destructors Championship is how many times has someone crashed, has ruined their car, has damaged, how much did they cost the team in repairs. Just think about the Williams team and how much money they had to invest. By the end, it was tape holding them together, gaffer tape on anything that has previously broken, because it's just too late to do anything too major. The Destructors Championship is for the individual, just like the drivers, but it's how much they cost the team in damages. So last year it was Sergio Perez who topped that list because of how many times he spun out, how many times he ended up in the gravel, how many times he crashed, how many times he did not finish the race because he just couldn't stay on the track. This can be a very costly and very infuriating thing for the teams. Partly that was the reason why Logan Sargent, who started driving for Williams in 2023, finished driving for them in the Netherlands in 2024 when he got fired from his position just because they did not see any improvement in his ability to drive, and all he did was crash. And the teams just couldn't take it anymore, and that's when Franco Colapinto came in, and we'll see how Williams does this year, but it's all to be seen. But yes, the Destructors Championship, the secret unofficial championship, nobody wants to top the list of, and the person who won it positively was the first person ever to not cost his team anything, and that was Pierre Gasly. He managed to not cost his team a single penny, and it's something that is still unbelievable today. And we'll see how he does this year. Hopefully he can continue the streak. Hopefully other teams can do the same. Who knows? But that's all to play for. So that's it for today's episode. Thank you for listening. Hopefully soon these will be a bit longer as we expand, as we get into the season, and only a few weeks left, and we'll see 20 cars on the grid, zooming off, doing God knows how many laps, and we'll hear Crofty and the team talk and share their experiences and commentate, and we will know who the winner of the Australian Grand Prix, the first race of the 2025 season, is upon us. And we'll find out how the year will pan out from there. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to check out my other colleagues on the Be the Change Media Network. And I'll see you next Saturday. Bye, guys.